Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricky Prouse, and I'm a mountain mighty, and I was asked to help build some barkhouses here, and so that's what we're trying to do. Um, I'm I'm on a couple different organizations. The one that I kind of represent is the Mighty Historical Preservation Association, and another one that I'm on the board for is the Mighty Summit Consortium, which they're doing a lot of things in the mountains, and this is just another way for us to connect with the mighty people around here, because we have to work together. Unity is the only thing that we're going to get things done, and this little thing that we're trying to get going right now sounded like a really good thing. What it is going to be is just a tribal trade village. And we're working on that. We're having more and more meetings with, we got permissions from some of the families there, and I've worked with some of the other families. I've had conversations with them, and we're going to set up meetings to let them know what we're doing and see how much they want to participate. So far, I've got a lot of good response and return feedback from pretty much everybody that I've spoken to. So let's make this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia, we'll go ahead with you first.
Hi, my name is Alicia Cordero, and I am Chumash from Santa Barbara and from Santa Cruz Island, so Limu. And I'm living here on Chumash land, which it's really nice to be able to live in my own homeland. And that wasn't always the case. And I work for Restored Chumash Foundation. I'm the First Nations Program Officer. And we are very interested in hearing about all of the different tribes that are getting land back and how they're approaching it and what their plans are, how they're working together, all that kind of stuff. We've gotten 100 acres back. It's not a huge parcel, but it's still something. And it's the first land that I know of that we've been able to recover. So we just want to stay in community with all of you. Thank you.
Great. I'm gonna come back to you, Alicia. We have we're compiling a database of tribes that have successfully gotten land back. So I want to make sure you're on it. That's the first I've heard of it. So obviously there's a need for what we're trying to do here. So thank you so much for being here. Let's see. MJ, would you like to go next, please?
Sure. I am Melanie Johnson, and I am the TIPO for Susanville Indian Rancheria and NAGPRA coordinator. I'm also on the board of the Mighty Summit Consortium. I'm Pit River under the Atsikewee tribe, and I am Mountain Maidu. And thank you for inviting me. I'm certainly glad to be on here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you. Let's go to Heidi Lucero next, please. Please unmute yourself.
Miyam Notung Heidi Lucero Yaka, Ahasha Mayengo Wish Pimutsun Aloni. My name is Heidi Lucero, and I am a Ahashaman and Mutsun Aloni. I live on border territory between the Ahashaman and the Tongva. I am a teacher at Cal State Long Beach, where we do have a sacred site there. It's Pavungna, and we are working on preserving what's left of that site. I am also the cultural resource director for my tribe, and I am just recently applied to grad school to get my PhD, so I'm hoping that I get in. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here as well. We definitely want to hear more about what they're doing in Long Beach. Let's see. Next, we have Marcus Ruiz-Evans from Yes, California. Are you there, Marcus?
Sorry. Thank you for, yes, sorry. I need to unmute myself. Thank you for letting Yes California be here. Yes California is a proud sponsor and supporter of this project from the very beginning. We would like to do anything we can to help with returning all federal land to the indigenous. And we just launched our Yes California Board of Trustees. If any indigenous California person would ever like to come and speak at the beginning of our meeting to 40 people, standing offer, you can say whatever you want, however you want, right at the beginning of the meeting. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Marcus. I'll make sure to emphasize that when we send out our follow-up newsletter to this call. Let's see, Marvina.
Sir.
Marvina, are you there?
Yes, so Sasaka, my name is Marvina Harrison. I am secretary for the Mighty Consortium, and I reside in the homelands near Susanville, California.
Great, thank you so much for joining us, Marvina. It's an honor to have you. Let's see, we have Sass. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sass. I am running for Congress down in Texas. I've been attending meetings with Johnny. I want to acknowledge that I am on the traditional territory of up to five different nations. I'm going to do my best to pronounce all of their names. Humanos, Tonkawa, Lipanapache, Kwawiltekan, Namana'a So'okobuta. I have a lot to learn. I'm here to listen and hopefully be part of the catalyst of helping Texas to follow in the footsteps of California. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Sass. And we'll explain why it is that we have a Texan interested in land back here in California. There is a parallel, so stand by for that. Let's see, Sally Peterson, welcome. Would you take a minute to introduce yourself, tell us whose land you're on and how you came here today?
Hi, my name is Sally Peterson. I am an enrolled member of the Middletown Rancheria Pomona Indians in Northern California. And I came across, I don't know how I came across this actually. I think I got an email, but it just interested me. So, so I signed up just to listen to what it was all about.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. Not our last session, but our December session was hosted by the Yokaia Pomo. So it's good to have some of your tribe back on. Tina Calderon, would you like to take a second and introduce yourself?
Sure, meiha nehinkam natonya netina komikrabet naha tongbe koi mixkanakan. Weshkoneha kwavomane tehovetamet. My name is Tina Orduno Calderon. I'm Gabrielino Tongva and Ventureño Chumash. I'm happy to be here with all of you today. My ancestral village is in the Santa Monica Mountains, and that is shared territory of the Chumash and the Tongva. I see some of my beautiful relatives, so happy to see you all. This is my second session. I don't remember how I heard about the first one, but I thought it was very important to come and stand together. All of us California people know what it's like to have our lands taken, to not have a land base, to have treaties that were signed but never ratified. And so land back, I'm all for it. And I'm here to support.
We're so happy to see you back here. You bring such a lovely energy. So thank you again for joining us. I think we have Matt coming in from Southern California. Matt, you want to unmute yourself and take 15, 20 seconds to say
well, Matt Owen from U Vietnam territory, from under the arrowhead. Not residing anywhere at the moment, but when I do, wherever I end up, I will be the ambassador of Grand California to whatever indigenous nation on whose territory I end up at.
Thank you, Matt. Much appreciated. Sue, would you like to go next?
Hey,
Oh, I just muted you by accident, Sue. You have to unmute yourself.
sorry about that. I'm Sue, and I'm just here to listen and learn more today. Always listening and learning here, of course. And I'm the ambassador to Northern California people for Return California and also for Collexit.
Great. Thank you so much, Sue. We have one more person that just joined HBPI. I'm not sure what that is, but if you'd like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, that'd be really great.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sonny Elliott. I'm the tribal chairman for the Hop and Band of Pomo Indians. The HBPI is just our acronym for the tribe. I was just calling to listen. Like I said on one, maybe 2 months ago, there was one hosted by one of the people here in Ukiah that I sat in and listened on. So I just wanted to check it out and listen in on this one.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. That was your relative, Juelina Acosta, who hosted our December roundtable. Thank you for joining us again. Well, I have been listening extensively to the Red Nation podcasts. I don't know how many of you on the call are familiar with the work that they're doing, but it's been truly inspirational. There's an amazing interview that just came up on February 1st. That was yesterday, I guess. This woman wrote a book, As Long as the Grass Grows, and she's addressing pretty much everything that Return California has been trying to accomplish. We're so incredibly impressed by the successes that California's Native nations have been having recently, within the last 5 years, really. And she framed the entire conversation around environmental racism and settler privilege. And those two things were really impactful to our group. Just for transparency, Return California is basically a collection of accomplices, people who identify as accomplices who are connected to their own indigeneity in whatever ancestry they have, and are trying to be the best relatives as possible. And this whole thing began as an outreach effort from the California independence movement, specifically with Yes California. And my job as the director of outreach was to reach out to different groups of people and find out what it would take to get support from them on an independent referendum. Similar to what we're seeing in Scotland right now. This year, most scholars believe that Scotland will have its independence from the UK. And that's enormous and sets an incredible precedent, especially when you're talking about Scottish Gaelic, which is their indigenous language. Before they were colonized, the tribes of Scotland, they're in deep solidarity with Native American politics and efforts. So with the Yes California effort to outreach, I began contacting various California nations, asking tribal members and council members alike, what would it take to get support for California independence referendum? And time again, we got the same answer: give us our land back. And so we brought that answer back to the board, and we started discussing what that would look like. And if you go to the yescalifornia.org website, you can see that message that we kept getting from our Indigenous brothers and sisters is reflected there in their website. It's a very simple thing. 45% of California, quote unquote, belongs to the federal government. We're seeing a massive shift in the acceptance of traditional ecological knowledge, specifically around cultural burning here in California, because of how out of control the wildfires have become due to settler-colonial approach of suppression rather than maintenance. And these conversations that continue to be had within indigenous academia make it very clear that they're appreciative of acknowledgement, they're appreciative of being consulted, but until they are actually given their land back, it's all just platitudes and tokenization. So this podcast recently with Red Nation, as long as the grass grows, she specifically mentioned the Karuk of Northern California and how their cultural burning practices have been widely implemented at the state level here in California, and that their traditional firekeepers are regularly consulted by Cal Fire, but they still don't have access to their land. So what we at Return California are trying to do is create a community of active indigenous Californians who are interested in hosting these conversations and telling us what we as accomplices can do to support those land back efforts. So at the moment, we're compiling a list of nations that have been successful at getting at least a small percentage of their land returned. And several of the efforts that we previously held as being, something to look at, more specifically the Esalen nation, were on the call back in December, and we named them specifically as a tribe that returned their land, and their tribal chairwoman interrupted and said, "No, that's not actually true. That was a group of people that claimed our name and purchased this land." So there's a lot of misrepresentation of what this looks like and what it will continue to look like in the future. So I'm not sure what it's going to take to get everybody on the same page and to share these resources, but I'd love to hear more from the voices on this call about what we can do. Our effort is to listen and to follow the advice, not just to consult, but to actually implement the things that are being told to us. So what we're doing in Smartsville with the help of the Mountain Maidu is building a tribal trade village, basically neutral territory where the tribes can all come and trade with one another, just like they did in the past. And the resources that we have available will be available to anyone and everyone who's interested in implementing these things that have seen success. So, Ricky, you want to talk a little bit more about the relationship between this Homesteaders Co-op and the Mountain Maidu? Got to unmute yourself. Did we lose you, Ricky? You still there?
Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. technology and me aren't really the best. I can make an airplane fly, but this computer thing drives me crazy. Anyways, the question was why are the Maidu interested in helping out with someone in Nishnaan land? Well, because right now we got a lot of momentum going on because we did get a lot of land back. And we believe, as far as me, and I can't speak for everyone on our board or every single Maidu person, but I do believe that we need to work together. If I just use my little family for an example, we don't always agree on everything, and sometimes we fight over a lot of things. And from working with different groups, there's different personalities in all of this stuff, but we do have to come together, and we do still have to start working. We have to work together. There's a lot of mighty people that are working together, but realistically, Grass Valley was ground zero for the eradication of our people. Where's the biggest gold mines around in that area? So people have to start. We have to come and work together. And this trade village is a good thing. It's neutral ground. When they asked me if I would help, I told them, well, first of all, you have to get permission from the local Nishnaan people around there and make sure that they know what we're doing, and that they can be a part of it somehow to whatever extent they want to. Well, we've been doing that, and we're doing it. I've talked to a couple of the people, a couple of the families who are basically some of the original people that were here, are in that area. I'm in Sacramento, so I can't say here, around the Grass Valley, the Nishnaan people. And some of them they don't really always agree on the same politics, but they think this is a good idea too. We're working on it. I've set up meetings with them, and with the bigger part of their families. So it's not just like, well, you might have asked Aunt Mary, but you didn't ask me. So that's going to take a little while to work out. Within the next couple of weeks, we'll have meetings set up with most of the families that I think were the original people from that area. But I'm also going to ask these people to let me know if there are other people that I don't know, because I don't. But we wanted this to work out. I've talked to some of the other local tribes, the Nishnaan and Mechoopda. I put them. I'm the Mechoopda and the Kongkao, and they're pretty supportive. They think this is a pretty good thing, and they said, well, if you guys need some help, let us know. But basically, we're under the same agreement that we have to honor each other's territory. So once as many Nishnaan people are coming on board, they're going to, and they want to. They think this is a good thing. So that gives me hope, and it's just a good thing. So it's going to work. How it's going to work, I don't know yet, because we're just now starting it out. We've built the bark houses. We have plans to build Tule Lake houses, or habos, that's what we call them. And we planned on putting the plants that are supposed to be there. The guy that owns the property, he's just really tired of seeing all the gold country things, the gold country this, the gold country that. And he knows the history of how the people that were there got displaced because of the greed of the gold. And he just wants to offer something to give back. He wants something so that people can at least know that there were natives, that there were people called the Nishnaan people in that area at one time. And he really wants to work with us. And it's going to happen. To us, as far as me and how this is going to help me and the Maidu community, in my opinion, is because this highway that this property is on is a major access point from the valley to the mountains. What we've got going on up in Plymouth County is we just got a whole bunch of land returned to us, and it needs to be developed is definitely not the right word, but it needs to be maintained. We know that we didn't have agriculture, we had permaculture. We just had to maintain the land, and we're doing it. We've already done a lot. We've only had the land back for, well, maybe 6 months now, and we've already changed it a lot. I mean, we've changed the course of the creeks and the rivers, so now that it's going to different places around the valley to make the grass grow. We've got the water. We built beaver dams up there, and now the water's up to the level of the ground now instead of in ditches. People are telling me now, man, we can hear the creek running now, and it's really cool. We've done so much work up there. We've done a lot of stuff, and this is going to help us to help our neighbors. We really do want to help our neighbors too, because that benefits us. In so many ways. Since we started this other person has asked me if we could come and see if we can get people to, if we want to come and use his property to grow plants on that we need to make for medicine or whatever we need to do. So this is already working out. Another gentleman already asked me, he goes, you know, I'm getting kind of old. Do you think there's any Nishnaan tribes around here that are in need of some land? And, you know, maybe there are. I kind of probably think that there are. I don't know what that's going to turn out to, but we're going to go down the road and find out. The guy who owns the property, he's also a farmer, and he owns property down the road. And we've talked about teaching people how to be farmers, because growing food is really important. And I just read something today about how we're killing our food supply because of the corporate farms. Well, this guy is a farmer, he does well, and he wants to teach people how to be farmers. So why can't we get some of our youth to go out there and learn? This is, in my opinion, this is a very good thing. There's a lot of questions. I don't know all the answers, but that's why we're having this discussion. I think this is the second. I'm pretty sure this is only the second meeting that I've been a part of, and just since I've helped to do this, I'm just excited. I've talked to so many people, and to hear you guys being interested in this, and I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling on right now, but this is a really good thing, and I can see a lot of advantage to it for not only the Nishnaan people in the local area, but to a lot of Native people around everywhere, because a lot of people look at California natives and see what they're doing. None of us knows, none of us, I don't think anybody knows hardly any native tribes. Everybody knows what the Apaches are and the Sioux and all those guys, but we're pretty powerful people. We have some smart people, and we need to work together. And that's all that I have to say. And I want to thank you guys for all coming and for being at this meeting. This is so weird. And thank you.
Thank you, Ricky. I do believe you're right. This is the second meeting that you attended. You attended our January meeting as well. But one of your relatives, Les Hall, was at our inaugural meeting, which was also the last one that we had in person, and that was held in Grass Valley. The Nisenan welcomed our indigenous advisors from the Return California Advisory Council. That was Canyon Sayers Rude from the Indian Canyon. And from there, this concept of the listening roundtables really blossomed. And Les was actually instrumental in guiding the direction of the conversations. The second roundtable was hosted by Ali Mettersnight of the Machupta Maidu in Chico, whose land was devastated by the campfire in Paradise. The entire footprint of that fire, the worst in California history, was on their tribal land. And they introduced the concept of traditional ecological knowledge and gave us guidance about how to implement that, and then introduced us to the third roundtable host, which was actually a consortium of tribes that are working on implementing traditional ecological knowledge in real time. And that was Steve Walensky from Calaveras County. He's running an all indigenous tree crew, which is doing tree work in Yosemite and also looking for other projects to work on. So we are still in the process of compiling all of these resources so that when a tribe gets their land back, they can call on an organization that is fully representative of them and their values to host workshops and do the actual work. So all of these places that are getting land returned, they may not have the membership or the number of active people in their tribe that could do the work that needs to be done. So it's our job as accomplices to figure out ways to make that happen. And a free and independent California would have a huge budget for supporting these types of projects. I meant to say earlier in the call, the Wiyot people of Humboldt County were one of the success stories that we've been talking about a lot. They fought for 20 years to have their ancestral island, Tulawat, returned to them. And in 2019, that became official. The Eureka City Council signed over all but one parcel on the island back to the tribe. And Ted Hernandez, the current chair, just lost his father recently. He was planning on joining us today. So I wanted to just take a moment of silence for him and hope that he's peaceful with the ancestors. So thank you for that moment. We're trying to get the Wiyot people to host one of these roundtables in the future because they have a really solid list of things that they did that culminated in the successful return of their island. We are about to see the removal of 3 dams on the lower Klamath River, huge success. The Yurok tribe recently received almost 19,000 acres in trust from Emerald Diamond Company. Ricky and the Mountain Maidu are being held up as a success story with the return of nearly 2,300 acres of humbug on Yellow Creek. And the Ohlone in Oakland under the Sogorea Land Trust with Karina Gould had a 1/4 acre parcel returned to them, where they recently constructed an arbor and held ceremony for the first time in over 150 years on their own tribal land. So these victories are happening, and it would be really nice to have a one-stop shop for everyone to see that this is happening. Eventually, it will come to a tipping point when enough of the land is back in the hands of tribal stewardship. Independence, I think, is inevitable. Um, Alicia, you just taught us that the Wishtoyo Chumash have just received land back. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Um,
Yeah, sure. So Wishtoyo is not a tribal group. It's an intertribal organization that represents Chumash people in general, but not, it's the people who work for Wishtoyo come from several different Chumash tribes, and we partner with the other tribes. Or we're not a tribe. We partner with the tribes, and just kind of everyone that wants to come together to do work together can do that with us. So we were able to get 100 acres. It's a former golf course and a former horse ranch that are adjacent to one another. So it's along the Santa Clara River, which we call Utam, which is an area where we've been doing a lot of work trying to get the steelhead to be able to run back up it. And there's a dam there, a diversion dam that we've been in a really long, protracted process of pointing out the impact that it has on the steelhead. They keep saying, oh, we're going to fix it, and then they don't fix it. And then, so it's just this iterative thing where we keep going to court over and over again to get these incremental changes, which ultimately I think will come to the point where they will have to admit that the dam is actually preventing an endangered species from being able to migrate, in which case we'll be able to take it down. But it's like decades of work. So anyway, so on that river, we have our parcels, and we are going to be doing restoration, biocultural restoration, in the sense that we're not only restoring the native species to the land, but we're restoring our relationship with those species and with the land itself. And, you know, one of the things that I don't hear people talk about a lot, but, you know, ours is only 100 acres, and the amount of work it takes to do this kind of stuff that we're talking about is phenomenal, and it costs money. And pretty much, I think anybody who's got land that they need to take care of in perpetuity needs an endowment of some kind. And I think that's another aspect that we need to talk about. If you can't pay, like a lot of people expect Native people are all going to volunteer, and we all have jobs, we all have families to take care of, we all have these other things. So volunteer labor can't be enough to take care of, you know, especially these larger swaths that some of the other tribes have. So I'm really curious how people are affording it. We were able to get a small endowment, so you know, so we feel like we're doing well, but we know how careful we have to be about it to make it work. And so I'm just wondering how some of the other tribes are making that work. And then also, because we're intertribal, there's some tribes in our area work really, really well together, and there's others who don't want to work with the other groups. And so it's a really hard thing to navigate, because the land really is all of ours. You know, it's not, it doesn't belong to any individual group of the multiple Chumash groups that are there. So I'm wondering how other areas navigated that. I know we're not the only contentious group in California, so I'm just curious about that as well.
Yeah, we actually had a bit of a conversation about that on our second roundtable with Ali Meddersnight and the traditional ecological knowledge budgetary allocation from the state of California. And the third roundtable was with Steve Walensky from Calaveras, who's successfully put together a consortium of tribes to do that kind of work with a budget from the state of California. Our group is pretty revolutionary. Like, we are so completely fed up with the Fed, and through the guidance of our Indigenous brothers and sisters, we've really seen clearly how we need a systemic change. We're not going to fix a system built on slavery and genocide with the rules of that system. We have to create our own. And the best way we can do that is by building these communities and systems on our local levels. And nowhere is there more potential from our perspective than with California's indigenous nations. Because if we can figure out a way to rally communities around supporting this knowledge, this traditional ecological knowledge, via things simply like a indigenous land tax. It could be a voluntary tax that people pay annually to the tribe of their region or tribes of their region to facilitate the work that needs to be done. Also, there's a huge element of education that has to be a part of it. So what we're trying to build here in Smartsville with the help of Ricky and his crew is an actual nuts and bolts operation that we can then give the blueprints for to whomever wants to implement similar structures. We're compiling a huge list of curriculum, all centered around traditional ecological knowledge, interdisciplinary, so that we can teach math, English, science, everything from a lens of traditional ecological knowledge. Once people understand what it is that's being done, um, almost without exception, they're successfully brought into supportive roles. So it's really it really seems like an uphill battle. Like there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and our goal at Return California is just to provide as much of that work as possible to the people that need it. Did you have something to say, MJ? Oh, lost you. Um, Alicia, I had a follow-up question to what you mentioned. You said Wishtoya was the consortium of tribes, like a group of like bands of Chumash that are working together.
It's an intertribal in the sense that we represent all of the different Chumash peoples in the area, but we are an independent nonprofit. So we're not affiliated with any of the tribes directly, and we're not run by like a consortium or anything like that. So it's more tribal-led environmental nonprofit, cultural and environmental nonprofit.
So it's more led by the tribal members than by the leadership. Yeah. Understood.
Exactly. Yes.
Excellent. One of my first experiences with Indigenous California was with the Chumash during my 6th grade science camp. I was in Carpinteria, which is in southern Santa Barbara County, and we got to go to this Chumash sacred site by Lake Cachuma, and I was so in love. I just from then on, I wanted to be indigenous. You know, I wanted to live that way. I was like, yeah. I knew something was wrong with this system that's gotten us so far away from that traditional style. So I've spent my entire life trying to figure out a way to fix it. And I firmly believe that a free and sovereign, independent, and autonomous California can do that. And with the return of federal lands, we're going to have a huge group of indigenous people managing nearly half of the land in our state. And I believe that that's going to be like a domino effect once people realize how many successes are happening now. It's just going to snowball. So I'm really looking for as many contributions as possible from the tribes about the successes that they're having. So if you wouldn't mind emailing me a list of resources that the Wishtoya have used and have found success with, we'll put that on our website and add that to the list of resources that other tribal members can access.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I'm really excited to know that some of that I can include my traditional lands in this conversation. Finally, um, um, let's see, where did I want to go? Oh, I think she dropped off. That sucks. I was hoping to get Heidi to talk a little bit about the conversation that we had when we first met at Nisenan Heritage Days back in 2018. But I'll save that for another conversation. Does anyone on the call have any questions for anyone or any suggestions for how Return California can garner more support from your communities?
Well, this is Rick. In my opinion, is what we're doing right now is trying to get this little trading village going is going to be a big step, because then people see that what's going on, because it's so high profile. And I don't know, just keep on doing what you're doing, talking to people. I don't know.
You know, one of the experiences that we've had is before we had land back at all, we still wanted to have that relationship with our traditional homelands. And it's difficult to preserve the traditional ecological knowledge if you don't have anywhere to practice it. So, this idea of epistemicide, like the destruction of knowledge and ways of knowing, I think has been a big problem. And we formed a collective of Chumash people who wanted to be more active in doing TEK, even though we don't have land, and then talking about how we could approach that. And we got some land managers from different preserves, like the San Marcos Foothills Preserve and the UC Reserve in the area, who they were skeptical too. Like, I mean, just the idea that our management style would produce results that were different than what they were already doing. I don't think that they really understood how that would happen, but they gave us little areas on their property to practice on. And when I say practice, I don't mean like practice, like try to figure out how to do it, but practice, like actually do it.
Like implement.
Yes, implement. There you go. And they were so floored by the results of the areas that we attended that they were like, okay, you know what? Come back and you're free to go anywhere on our property and do that. So I think, like, even if you don't have resources and you don't have money and you don't have political clout, I think the proof is in the pudding, in the sense that if you can get someone to even give you temporary, small access, it can really grow. And it's not the same as owning land. Obviously, it's totally different. But I think that the more people see what our interactions with the land look like, I think the more seriously they'll take it. And that goes with the fire as well. I think that's a really, really important issue, across California.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really important distinction to make between just stewarding the land and actually having rights to it. We want to see the latter, right? It's not enough that that you can access the land. It needs to be completely within tribal control. So that's what we're hoping to advocate. Alicia, were you familiar with the San Mateo Creek and San Onofre with trestles and the surfer? so there was a toll road proposed along San Mateo Creek, which is one of the last really pristine watersheds in Southern California. Runs from the mountains down through to Trestles in the San Onofre, which is a world famous surf break. And initially it was the Sierra Club that opposed this toll road, saying that it would cause devastation to the creek. And then the Surfer Alliance, the Cold Water Tribe, came together and backed the Sierra Club. And there was, it was ultimately successful, but there was a sacred site that was well documented in California history books. It was listed as a national place on the historic register. So it was very well documented that this sacred site existed, and it was pretty much just glossed over. Like no one acknowledged this spot and how much the success of the Surf Riders Foundation and the Sierra Club owed to that. And it's a testament to how these settler colonial systems continually kind of tokenize the indigenous presence. And it's a fundamental shift that has to happen in the consciousness of people in order for it to be salvaged. So
Absolutely.
yeah, really trying to get as many people together to do this work as possible and to facilitate the work being done already. So really encourage y'all to listen to the Red Nation podcast. If you haven't already, just kind of browse. They were kind of born out of Standing Rock, the No DAPL protests, the whole concept of water protectors and land defenders, sacred stone. These things all originated out of there. And we're coming up on 5 years since then, and there's just been an incredible shift in consciousness around these issues. So I really want to be able to take advantage of the momentum. Tina, did you say that you had some success with your people?
No, unfortunately, we don't have any kind of a land base. We still are fighting for to save our sacred sites. There's so many in our territory. I have been to the place that you were mentioning at San Onofre. That's a Hachimem territory, and I have been there for ceremony. And we try to network in that way, just to try to protect the lands and keep them from drilling and all the things that are money inspired. So there's at least, I want to say like 6 sacred sites along the coast that are all under threat. But yeah, no, unfortunately, we have no land back. We have formed the Hachiman Tongva Land Conservancy, but we've yet to be able to take possession of our sacred site of Bolsa Chica. So it's just all still in the works.
Can you put a link or something in the chat for us to go to? We can hopefully help amplify that call for help. We just received an urgent call for help from the Ohlone, from Karina Gould. There's a developer that's trying to develop a burial site in the East Bay, and Wednesday evening at 7:30, we're going to get the official report of what it is that we can do to help. But it's those kinds of things. We want to be like the one-stop shop for anyone who's interested in garnering support for protection of these sacred sites, of return of the land, of the implementation of traditional ecological knowledge, of going beyond acknowledgments and consultation, and actually going in full steam. Does anyone have anything else? We're about in an hour now, which is generally about how long these things take. I'd really like to find a host for our next month session. So if any of y'all have suggestions or have an issue around land back or TEK that you want us to broadcast, please let us know. Sounds like Ricky's having fun.
Oh, you guys can hear me? I thought I was muted. Sorry about that.
It's all right. All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining us. Mark your calendars. We're trying to do as much as we can with the bare bones crew and budget that we have. First Tuesday of every month at 1 o'clock, we host these sessions, and I'm hoping that by next month's session, we'll have a whole slew of additions to our website, identifying all of these successes and projects that that our community is supporting. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Ricky, for hosting, and look forward to seeing you all next month.
You're welcome, and thank you for everybody for coming. I hope you heard me.
All right. Take care, everyone.